Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody to our program tonight. Folks, there are a lot of things going on that we want to talk about tonight, and we hope you're here for us to talk with you. First, please stay here as long as you possibly can for tonight's broadcast, because what we have to say is going to interest everybody, and the information we're going to give you tonight may influence your decisions going forward in the future. This is the case most nights. We're going to talk about earthquakes, then we're going to talk about the news highlights of the day that are going to deeply affect each one of us. I'm going to say that again. What we have tonight is going to deeply affect each one of us, so please stay here for the majority of the broadcast, or for as long as you possibly can. The longer you stay here, the more information you're going to glean from tonight's broadcast. Also, YouTube uses that time that you spend here as an analytic factor. They use it as an analytic factor whether they're going to let anybody here on YouTube see this broadcast. That, and also the number of thumbs up you give us. So please give us a thumbs up if you like what we're going to tell you tonight. First, we're going to talk about earthquakes. Let's go over to the USGS earthquake map for this. We have a lot here that you're going to want to see. Now, folks, this is good information. I'm going to say this is very good information. Please stick here for this broadcast. First, one of the largest earthquakes that have happened today occurred over in the Kuril Island area, just south of Kamchatka Peninsula, right here. South of Kamchatka Peninsula, right here. This is a large 5.3 earthquake, 10 kilometers deep, 6.2 miles deep. This is in the Kuril Islands, south of Kamchatka Peninsula. Now, this is going to seem probably no newsworthy at all, but this kind of seismic energy that we see here is going to rise up this same earthquake fault here. This same earthquake fault that's going to go over here into the Aleutian Islands sometime within the next 2 to 3 days. This seismic energy is going to go off here to the central east part of the Kamchatka Peninsula. Then it's going to go over here into the Aleutian Islands and over into Alaska at some point in time. Now, let's back up here. I want to go over here and talk to you about all the large earthquakes that have happened. Let's go over to South America first, okay? Over here to Aveyah, Indonesia. This is not this earthquake. This is a 4.2 aftershock. This is a 5.1 earthquake here, a large 5.1. The earthquake over in the Kuril Islands was a 5.3. This is a large 5.1. This was 27 kilometers deep over here in central Chile. 5.1, 66 kilometers west-southwest of Aveyah, Chile. Notice where it's at. Right directly alongside the coastline of Chile. Now, since it was so close, some parts of Chile may have felt this earthquake. Some parts of people here in Chile may have felt this earthquake. If they were anywhere near the coastline here, they may have felt this earthquake. There are some people that live over here. There are some people who live here. For the most part, this is a very craggy coastline. Now, when the earth or the water swells up here during storms, sometimes these storms can go up and over these rocks. I don't think anybody lives over here on the rocks. They live more inland here. But some people may have felt this earthquake here. This is 66 kilometers away from the coastline, the nearest city. Also, a 4.2 aftershock happens as well. Also, 28 kilometers deep. Okay, still a fairly shallow earthquake. Now, there are 18 earthquakes here in South America. USGS is only showing 2 here. This is over in Colombia, Docordo, Colombia. A 4.8 moderate earthquake here, 24 kilometers deep in Colombia itself. Now, this is a 4.8. People that also live in this area may have felt this earthquake. They may have felt this earthquake. It's only 54 kilometers away from the shoreline here, 54 kilometers away from the nearest town. They may have felt some part of this earthquake. However, it's only a moderate earthquake. Some of the waters of the ocean here absorb the shockwaves of this quake, but some people may have felt parts of this quake, just as that 5.1 down in Uvalde, Colombia. Northern Colombia here had the most part of the earthquakes. I believe they may have had as many as 10 or 11 earthquakes here today. Now that varies because USGS takes those earthquakes off the map. That's why I'm saying probably close to 18 earthquakes here in South America today. Let's go further over here into Tonga and Fiji area. Okay, first off, this earthquake here is south of Fiji Islands. A 4.3 earthquake here. This is 372 kilometers deep. Still a fairly moderately deep quake. When it's very deep, anything over 500 kilometers is deep. Anything over that might populate an earthquake, populate a stronger shallow earthquake. This, however, is not going to do it. I think this is still shallow enough to not procreate an earthquake. That is a 4.3 moderate earthquake here. This is a 4.8 earthquake. 4.8 earthquake. Now, the difference between that last earthquake being 350 kilometers deep, this is 509 kilometers deep. 509 kilometers deep. This may procreate an earthquake. Deep earthquakes cause shallower, larger quakes. Deep earthquakes cause larger, shallow earthquakes. However, this quake may be able to cause a 5.4 earthquake. This earthquake here may cause a stronger, more shallow quake of a 5.4 large quake. It remains to be seen what happens here. If that earthquake does happen, it will happen within the next 3 to 10 days. Okay, 3 to 10 days for that earthquake to happen. One other earthquake we will want to tell you about over here is this earthquake down here. This is a 4.4 earthquake here. This is 525 kilometers deep. 525 kilometers deep. Again, this earthquake could populate an earthquake of about 5.3, 5.4 on the Richter scale. Again, 5.3, 5.4 on the Richter scale. It will be a shallower, stronger quake. That may happen between the next 3 to 10 days. It remains to be seen. We'll keep a close eye on that for you. Just because USGS is not showing earthquakes here in Tonga, down here in New Zealand, does not mean they didn't happen. Just because they don't show an earthquake does not mean the earthquake didn't happen. They're not showing a lot of quakes here. Just like I showed you the other day, 3 earthquakes here in Australia that USGS didn't even show you. Let's go over here into Papua New Guinea. This is a 4.8 earthquake here. 104 kilometers deep, very shallow earthquake still. Okay? But it's over here near Fishaven, Papua New Guinea. We had an earlier earthquake this week in the same area. This is a 4.8 moderate quake. These people that live in this area have felt this earthquake, and it may have damaged the living facilities that they are in. These people here in Papua New Guinea don't have much money at all. They have very little money. As a result, their cardboard or wooden shacks may fall down from the shaking here. Even though this is a moderate earthquake, stronger earthquakes don't demolish everything they have. This is a moderate earthquake. It can knock down anything that they have here, period, because they don't have much. Okay? They don't have much more than mud, cardboard, or wooden shacks covered with tarps. I've seen it. Pray for those people in Papua New Guinea. Anytime they get anything over, say, a 4.4, I worry about them. I worry about them a lot. Okay? Notice this. USGS is not showing any earthquakes at all in Indonesia. Nothing. Nothing in the Philippines either. That's a crying shame. There are 23 earthquakes here in Indonesia and also in the Philippines. They're not showing not one of them. That's what's sad. That's what's sad. Wendy B47 is here. Thank you for being here, Wendy. We appreciate you a lot. Lisa's USBS LOL. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I call them BS. Okay? That's why I call them BS. Now, over here in Taiwan, off the east coast of Taiwan here, this again is a 4.6 earthquake, a moderate 4.6, 74 kilometers deep. This is off the coast of Taiwan, out in the water here. Now, folks, this is also along a tectonic plate. This is also along a tectonic plate off the coast of Taiwan. The thing is with this is just a moderate 4.6. This is 100 kilometers offshore. Nobody on Taiwan felt this earthquake because the ocean waters of the South China Sea absorbed the shockwaves of this quake. Nobody felt this quake at all. Okay, but this seismic energy is going to go north here, all the way up this earthquake zone here, all the way into Japan. All the way into Japan. We go up here to northern Honshu, Japan. This is a 4.5 earthquake here, 16 kilometers east of Hachinohe, Japan. Now, I know I butchered that. Hachinohe, Japan. This is 24 kilometers deep. I'm sorry, not 24, 74 kilometers deep. This is a very shallow earthquake, a very shallow earthquake. This is just barely off the coast of Japan here, okay? Anybody here may have felt some tingling underneath their feet, some tingling or movement underneath their feet, but because this is offshore, the waters of the Pacific Ocean absorb the shockwaves of this quake, okay? Given that. Again, north of here in the Kuril Islands, we have that 5.3 earthquake. Let's go over here to the peninsula of Alaska up here. Over here in the Aleutian Islands here, just south of the peninsula, we have a 2.7 earthquake. This is south of King Cove, southeast of King Cove. This did not do any damage. It's only a minor 2.7 earthquake. Over here, just south of there, Dutch Harbor, Alaska. This is a minus 0.3 microquake. Minus 0.3 microquake, meaning the minus numbers are indicating it's above sea level. But the thing that you need to know, this is 2.5 miles deep. 2.5 miles deep, 5 kilometers deep. Guys, this is down below sea level. Regardless of what USGS says, this is down below sea level. This, they say it's a minus 0.3. It's not. It's not. This is below in the crust of the earth here. I'm sorry, this is below sea level. I'm sorry. This is below sea level. Okay? This is below sea level. Also notice here, we have a volcano, don't we? We have a volcano. This earthquake here may be indicating that there is magma going to that volcano. This earthquake may be indicating or indicative of magma headed this volcano right here, just so you know. Okay, let's go north. Let's go north and east, I should say. Going up here, this is in the Pacific Ocean, just west of the Cook Inlet. The waters here between Kodiak Island and the peninsula of Alaska is still part of the Cook Inlet. Part of the Cook Inlet. This earthquake here is a 2.1 earthquake here. Over here on land, over by Old Ililama volcano, we have a 1.1 tremor here. North of that, also in the Cook Inlet here, just northeast of old Ililama volcano, we have a 2.3 earthquake. 2.3 earthquake. Then notice this. Notice this. Just off the northeast shore of Kodiak Island, we have a 4.5 earthquake here. A 4.5 earthquake here. We go back into the Cook Inlet here. Back into the Cook Inlet. This is a 1.8 tremor. 1.8 tremor near Anchor Point, Alaska. We go off westward. This is south of Mount Redoubt. South of Mount Redoubt, this is a 1.7. This is near San Pedro Bay, Alaska. Okay? We go north again to the coastline here. This is near Nilichik, Alaska, 1.6 tremor. We go over here to the southeast side again. This is near Fox River, Alaska, 1.4 tremor here. We go north, right up here, 1.7 tremor near Point Possession, Alaska. Just south there is a 1.5 here also, southeast of Point Possession, Alaska. Now, let's go north here, okay? Right here, this town right here is Anchorage, Alaska. Anchorage, Alaska. Just across the bay, across from Cook Inlet here is Mount Shure. This is the volcano that everybody was thinking that was going to erupt. It's not erupting. It's not going to be any close to erupting for the time being anyway. Okay? But north of there, this is a 1.2 near Big Lake, Alaska. North of there, 1.4 near Houston, Alaska. North of there. This is a 1.6, 3 kilometers northeast of Houston, Alaska. 3 kilometers northeast of Houston, Alaska. It's actually northwest of Houston. Northwest of Houston. Houston, Alaska, down here. Down here. This is nowhere close to being southeast. This is northwest. This is northwest. Again, USGS cannot get their directions right. USGS cannot get their directions right. Further out here to the west, Willow, Alaska. We just got through having a 5.0 large earthquake here in Willow, Alaska, just a day or so ago. Right here. This is a 2.2 near Susitna, Alaska. Just south of there, a 1.4 also, 24 kilometers northwest of Susitna, Alaska. This is a 1.6 tremor here. We go north here, right up here. Okay, this is a 1.4 tremor here. Further north, 1.7 tremor. This is east-southwest. This is west-southwest of Chase, Alaska. West-southwest of Chase, Alaska. Here they're saying it's east-southeast. It's west-southwest of Chase, Alaska. Let's go down here into this wonderful area here. Okay, what is this? Can anybody tell me what that is? That's near Valdez, Alaska. This is a 2.0 earthquake. 2.0 earthquake. Let's go up here to Denali National Park. This is northwest of Mount McKinley. A 2.1 earthquake here. Mount McKinley right here. 2.2 earthquake, Mount McKinley. Just south of Mount McKinley at 1.8 on the south side of Mount McKinley. To the north of Mount McKinley. Right here. 2.2 earthquake just north of Mount McKinley here. We go out of Denali National Park here to the north. We have a 2.3 earthquake here. Okay. Let's go north again. Just south of the Arctic Circle. This is Stevens Village, Alaska, with a 1.5 tremor. 1.5 tremor here. Now, while there are other earthquakes over here near Yakutak, Alaska here, and south over here to Sitka, Alaska, guess what? They're not showing any earthquakes. There are earthquakes here. There are earthquakes over here on the western side of the British Columbia area. It's here. They're here. Well, I want to go here and show you right now. Right between the Oregon border and the Cascadia subduction zone. Right here. Yachats, Oregon. Yachats, Oregon. This is a 2.2 earthquake. Just off the coast of Oregon here. Right between the Cascadia subduction zone and Oregon here. South here. This is the real story for the day. This is a 4.2 earthquake here. This is a 4.2 earthquake, 56 kilometers west-northwest of Petrolia, California. Petrolia, California. Look where it's at. It's on the west side of the Triple Junction. It's on the west side of the Triple Junction on the Gorda Escarpment. A 4.2 earthquake here. This is also 6.2 miles deep, 10 kilometers deep here. One closer to shore here. This is a 2.2 minor earthquake here. You might say this may be an aftershock of that 4-pointer up here to the north, right here. This may be a aftershock from that quake. This is 29 kilometers west of Petrolia, California. It's just south of the San Andreas Fault. Just south of the San Andreas Fault here. This is important. This is on the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. Okay? This area is going to also rock and roll when the Cascadia earthquake comes here. Okay? I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to rock and roll. Now, we talked about earthquakes here in California on Monday. Very little has changed. Earthquakes keep happening up here in Northern California and all the way down here to Southern California. It doesn't change. The San Andreas Fault is going to pop. The San Andreas Fault is going to pop. Up here in Northern California, the San Andreas Fault is going to pop here, as well as Hayward and the Calaveras Fault. 3 of the most deadly earthquake fault zones in California, right here. Right here. Okay? Let's go south here and show you this earthquake here. Chalami, California, 1.0 tremor. This is south of Parkfield, California, earthquake capital of California and earthquake capital of the world. Okay? Out here to the east here, Olancha, California. Olancha, California. This is a 2.2 earthquake here. Why is this important? When we have the earthquake over here in Ridgecrest area, in the Ridgecrest area down here, when that 7.1 earthquake lit up here, we had earthquakes as far north as Olancha, California, 65 miles north of Ridgecrest. Today we have this 2.2 earthquake here. That's not the only one. There have been numerous other minor tremors here as well. 2.2 earthquake over here in Olancha, California. This earthquake happened just after 6 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. 3:03 p.m. Pacific Time. 3:03 p.m. Pacific Time. Okay? As you can see, we have earthquakes down here in Ridgecrest, California here. This is a 1.0 tremor here. 1.0 tremor here to the north. This is 0.3 here. This is a 1.0 tremor here. And further north here, we have a 2.0 minor earthquake here. And right next to it to the north, a 1.5 tremor here. This whole area is still rocking. This whole area is still rocking. It's going to continue to rock. Okay? Further south here, we've had earthquakes here for a long time now. Johannesburg, California here. What's happening here? We continue to have swarms of earthquakes here. South of here is a quarry. That's a quarry. This earthquake here is a 1.5 tremor. This is a 1.3 tremor. This is a 1.0 tremor. This is a 1.4, and this is a 1.1. This one in yellow happened yesterday. This was a 1.2 in Johannesburg yesterday. Okay, that's what's going on here. Why did I tell you about it? Because it's over near Ridgecrest, just south of Ridgecrest on the Garlock Fault. The Garlock Fault. Further south here on the Garlock, we have a 1.5 here in Mojave, California. Mojave Desert, California. Also over here is in Boron, California here. They're mining borax from the California desert here for soap. This is a 1.6 earthquake. They say this is a tremor here, but I have a feeling it's not a tremor, but it's a quarry blast. It's in the quarry here. I believe it's a quarry blast instead of a tremor here. USGS still cannot get its thoughts right. They can't get their thoughts right at what is a quake and what is a quarry blast. Linda Covington says, pop goes the earthquake weasel. Absolutely. That was a good one, Linda. I got to remember that. Pop goes the earthquake weasel. Perfect. Well said. Well said. Now we go further down to the southwest here on the Garlock. 1.5 tremor here. We talked to you about that. Over to the west here, to the west and north. Bonefish, California. This is a 1.8 tremor here. This is not an earthquake. This is magma beneath the surface. This is a volcanic area. This whole area is a volcanic area. Anytime you see anything in the Bonefish area, it's not an earthquake. It's volcanism here. Volcanism near the volcanoes here in Bonefish, California. Okay? I wanted to point that out as well. Now, down here in Southern California, I keep talking about this, but I'm not going to stop. Why? Because, folks, we're expecting a full-blown major earthquake here in Southern California, possibly on 95% chance that it will be on the San Andreas Fault. Be on the San Andreas Fault right about in here. Now, we've had an earthquake on April 3rd, 2010, down here at the U.S.-Mexican border in Guadalupe, Victoria, Mexico. Calexico, Mexicali area here at the border. I fully believe that it could be here as well, but I doubt it. I doubt it, because most of the earthquakes are up here in the northern part of the Imperial Valley here. And a lot of earthquakes up here in the central part of Southern California, right in here. So I fully believe that the San Andreas Fault is going to pop right in this area. Right in this area. Almost guaranteed. Almost guaranteed. Everybody needs to be aware of this. We talk about it almost every day. You need to be well aware of what's going on, guys. And I'm dead serious. I couldn't be more serious. I really can't be more serious. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. That's going to happen when anybody least expects it. Okay? It's going to happen. Now, I'm going to back out here. We have earthquakes here in southern, or I'm not saying southern, but southwestern Texas here. Going further over here in southern Oklahoma here, we have a 2.3 earthquake here in Oklahoma. It's an oil and gas fracking quake. Further north here, this is also a 2.0 here in Nardin, Oklahoma. Nardin, Oklahoma. But it's not the only one here. This is a 0.6 supposed quarry blast in Ralston, Oklahoma. Let's go visit here. I want to see this. Guess what? This is not a quarry blast, USBS. It's not a quarry blast. Down here to the south, guess what? There's a quarry here. There's a quarry there. But this earthquake here is about 3 miles north of the quarry. It's an earthquake. This is a 0.6 microquake north of that quarry. It's not a quarry blast. This is a microquake. This is a microquake. 2.5 miles west-southwest of Ralston, Oklahoma. Okay? Let's go up here. Look at the river here. Rivers, guys, underneath rivers, we believe, the scientists have a good feeling on this, that underneath these rivers are earthquake faults. Earthquake faults. This may very well be a result of this earthquake fault here. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Let's go further north to this other earthquake here, Nardin, Oklahoma. Let's look at this. There are 586,000 pumps and jacks here in Oklahoma. 586,000 pumps and jacks. This is a 2.0 minor earthquake here. Now, let's look at pumps and jacks. Way down here to the south here is a windmill farm. A windmill farm. Right here is another windmill. Right here is another windmill. Right here is another windmill. Guys, frequently, we have earthquakes near windmill farms. Frequently, we have earthquakes near windmill farms. It just happens. I don't know why. But down here, we have oil and gas. Oil and gas. This may very well be a fracking quake. Anywhere from 6 to 10 miles away from any pump and jack. This may very well be a oil and gas fracking earthquake. However, it's right next to a windmill farm. And again, we have earthquakes at windmill farms all the time. It happens. And I don't know why. Don Patoka says gophers on loose. Yeah, could be. Could be gophers on loose. Demon Catman says breeding. Oh, yeah. Could be. You guys are great. I love you. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. That's what's happening here in Oklahoma. Let's go up here to the east. Up here. Pleasanton City, Oklahoma. Where's it at? Right here. This is in the western foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. The western foothills of the Appalachian Mountains here in Ohio. A 3.1 minor earthquake here. 3.1 minor earthquake here. Let's zoom in here. Okay? There are no oil fields here at all. No oil fields here in Oklahoma at all. But look at this. We don't have any rivers. We have a highway, but that doesn't promote earthquakes. This is in the western foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. This may very well be an earthquake related to the Eastern Continental Divide. Related to the Eastern Continental Divide. Further down here to the southeast, South Carolina again. Remember yesterday when I showed you the seismogram at Sumter, South Carolina? Elgin, Lugoff, and Sumter are basically in the same area. This is a 2.3 minor earthquake here in the same area where we had earthquakes here in Sumter, Elgin, and Lugoff yesterday. Okay? A lot of earthquakes here. A lot of earthquakes here. Okay? This is also in the foothills of the Appalachian Blue Ridge Mountains here in South Carolina. Appalachian Blue Hills Mountains here in South Carolina. Blue Ridge Mountains. Okay? Don Patoka says even vibrating windmills. Yes, they do vibrate. They absolutely do vibrate. Richard Smith says frequency vibration. Yes, they do. I can't talk. They do vibrate. I've seen it happen. I felt them. When I was traveling over here from Utah along Interstate 40, we saw a bunch of windmills in New Mexico and over here as well. Windmills. They do vibrate. I went over through a field and touched one of them. They do vibrate. Okay? Linda commenting, you're unreal. Gophers farting causing tremors. Oh, gosh. Oh, you guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. I just love you. I just love you. Further over here in the Caribbean, let's go over here to southwestern Puerto Rico. Look at these earthquakes here. There are 5 earthquakes here in southwestern Puerto Rico. Why? Back in December 26th and December 28th, 2019, we had a huge company, literally a worldwide company, that lit up 3 facilities. One in Norway. Gosh, I hate even talking about this. They lit up one facility in Norway, one in Russia, and one over in northwestern Australia. Please do not put this name in the chat. Please do not put this name in the chat. These facilities lit up on December 26th and again on December 28th, 2019. They triangulated southwestern Puerto Rico. They caused an 8.0 earthquake on December 26th and another 8.4 earthquake on December 28th. Fact. Back in 2019, when these earthquakes hit, we showed these earthquakes. We showed you the triangulation factors as well. We showed you the scientific data as well. Those facilities triangulated southwestern Puerto Rico and caused those 8.0 and 8.4 quakes, causing tremendous damage, loss of life, and a lot of injuries to the people here in Puerto Rico. Off the coast of southwestern Puerto Rico is a 2.4 earthquake south of Guanica, Puerto Rico. Guanica, Puerto Rico is where my buddy Dominic lives. He's the captain of the Puerto Rican Police Department. He and I have talked in the past quite frequently. This is a 2.4 offshore of Guanica, Puerto Rico. To the north here, Maria Antonia, Puerto Rico. This is a 2.1 earthquake, 16 kilometers deep. This 2.4 is 14 kilometers deep. Let's go up here to the northeast. A 2.3 earthquake 1 mile north of Indios, Puerto Rico. 2.3 earthquake here. Let's take a look at this. Guess what? It's not north of Indios, Puerto Rico. Guess what? Indios, Puerto Rico is right there. It's east or even southeast of Indios, Puerto Rico. Again, USGS can't be trusted with anything. Nothing. 2.3 earthquake southeast of Indios, Puerto Rico. Right here, this is a 2.2 earthquake here. Magas Arriba, Puerto Rico. Magas Arriba, Puerto Rico, right here. Okay? Unreal. Then further off to the west here, this is a 2.0 earthquake near Parguera, Puerto Rico. Parguera, Puerto Rico. 2.0 minor earthquake. This is at the coastline. At the coastline. Okay? 9 kilometers deep. 9 kilometers deep. Right up here. Now, I hate even talking about this because this gives me nightmares. When that 8.4 earthquake hit, right here, right here. There used to be a great big sandstone arch here. Great big huge sandstone arch here, similar to the sandstone arches in southern Utah. When that 8.4 earthquake hit on December 28th, the sandstone arch along the beach area of Porguera, Puerto Rico fell. It was a tourist place. It fell. The idiots at those facilities caused that damage. That was a natural phenomenon, just like the arches in southern Utah. They destroyed it. They destroyed it. Unreal. Unreal. The destruction of electronics caused by electronics and frequency radiation. Frequency radiation here. Unreal. One more earthquake here. This is a 3.1 earthquake. This is approximately 34 kilometers northwest of Charlotte-Amalie, U.S. Virgin Islands. 34 kilometers northwest of Charlotte-Amalie, U.S. Virgin Islands. Okay? There's really nothing else to tell you because USGS is not telling us about it. I could spend all evening long talking about earthquakes here in Turkey, including that major earthquake. Actually, it wasn't major, it was a very strong 6 over here in northern Turkey yesterday. And I know it caused damage and it caused injuries and it killed some people. That's what 6.0 earthquakes do. Over here in eastern Turkey, in the Syria border area, more aftershocks here from a major 9.0, 10.0 earthquake that happened here 2 years ago, February 3rd, 2023. 9.0, 10.0 earthquake right here. Terrible earthquake. Terrible earthquake here. Terrible earthquake. Unreal. And yet that's the same kind of earthquake that we're going to have in the Pacific Northwest sometime in the next 2 years. Now, while I've got you here, over here in the Indian Ocean, we just got this earthquake just a minute ago. This is a large 5.2 earthquake down here on the Antarctic Ridge in the Indian Ocean. 5.2 large earthquake just hit here in the Indian Ocean just a few minutes ago. 10 kilometers deep, 5.2 earthquake here, large earthquake in the Indian Ocean just a few minutes ago. Do we have any questions about earthquakes at all? Do we have any questions about any of the earthquakes at all? I've taken you on a pretty good tour of earthquakes around the world. Now I want to talk about some other things. Some other things that are going to affect each one of us. That's why I wanted you all here. I'm hoping that nobody left from the time we came on the air earlier. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and I'd really like to have an honest answer. The question I have is this: how long do you think it would take for a nuclear missile to reach the United States from North Korea? How long do you think it would take a nuclear warhead launched in North Korea to get to the United States? And I'm serious about it. According to a Chinese study, a North Korean missile could reach the United States in 33 minutes if the United States military does not intercept it and destroy it. Now, another question. Would China defend North Korea in a war? Would China defend North Korea in a war? In 1961, China and North Korea pledged to render immediate military assistance. The two countries signed the Sino-North Korean Mutual Aid and Cooperation Friendship Treaty, whereby China pledged to immediately render military and other assistance by all means to its ally in North Korea against any outside attack. This agreement was renewed in 1981, 2001, and 2021. I'm going to ask you another question. Is China backing Russia? Is China backing Russia? In September 2024, the United States Deputy Secretary of State Kurt Campbell said that China is aiding the Russian military, referring to materials given to Russia by China as being applied directly to the Russian war machine. 2024, just last year. Now, the warning light on the North Korean peninsula, the South and North Korean peninsula, is blinking, and it's blinking red. American defense leaders are finding that our nation, the United States of America, is unprepared for North Korea's growing military capabilities and its strategic alignment with Russia and China. Fact, guys. North Korea is parading its nuclear missile capability all over the place. This is the North Korean rocket that's capable of launching a nuclear warhead at the United States. North Korea's growing military capabilities are moving, and its strategic alignment with Russia and China is domineering. If we choose to ignore this issue, the Biden administration has done in the past, we have no longer an option. If we continue to choose to ignore this issue, which I do not think that President Trump is ignoring, but during the past 4 years, Biden refused to do anything about it. North Korean's Kim Jong-un from Pyongyang has taken advantage of recent events, like the war in Ukraine, to forge a strong bond with Beijing and Moscow. Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin are stuffing North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un's pocketbook. China and Russia are stuffing his pocketbook. China and Russia trade with North Korea in an open violation of international sanctions. Violating international sanctions. Well aware that they will face minimal consequences. They face minimal consequences from the Biden administration. Now, from the Trump administration, they could face dire consequences as a result of their actions, and the international community as well. The deepened economic relationship undercuts the world's ability to punish North Korea. With that padded wallet from Russia and China, Kim Jong-un is accomplishing two goals simultaneously. He's keeping his domestic situation stable, and he's improving his military capabilities, which are now affecting people far beyond his borders. He sells ballistic missiles to Russia. Yes, Kim Jong-un sells ballistic missiles to Russia. And Putin wields them to kill Ukrainians. We've seen what happened in Kiev just the other day. Kim Jong-un also provides Hamas with weapons. And the United States and Israel found those weapons on the battlefield over there in the Gaza Strip. And the terrorists also target innocent Israelis and Americans. Today, North Korea can create problems for the U.S. and our friends all over the world in ways we have not even faced in the past. North Korea's growing stature also has its military greater threat. North Korea's stature has grown to make it a greater military threat to the United States and internationally as well. National security leaders have been watching with increased unease as North Korea develops even more capable nuclear weapons. As I said, North Korea now has a weapon pointed at the United States. It can reach the United States in 33 minutes. North Korean military has even sent a nuclear-capable submarine to sea this last year, adding retaliatory strikes to its nuclear tool belt. Retaliatory strikes to its nuclear tool belt. We just thought we had a problem with Russia and even China launching nuclear missiles at the United States. Now we have one of their allies, North Korea, that hates the government, hates our country. I think Kim Jong-un during past years has even felt a disdain for the United States because of Biden. Because Biden wouldn't even listen to him or do anything, good or bad. All this makes Kim Jong-un even more bullish than ever before about waging a limited conflict with his neighbor to the south. In a speech at a North Korean military university, Kim Jong-un repeated his public command for his military to get ready for war. North Korea just might decide that it is time to settle territorial disputes along the western coast of the peninsula. This is an old source of tension between Pyongyang and Seoul. Americans may not have paid enough attention to North Korea, but our friends in South Korea and Japan certainly have been keeping a close watch. In particular, they are monitoring how the U.S. intends to strengthen deterrence against the antagonist North Korea. Now, the source of such a plan should be found in our National Defense Strategy, a document that's produced by the Defense Department every 4 years, the National Defense Strategy. It outlines how the United States military will implement our President's National Security Plan. However, our current plan was built with a more reclusive North Korea in mind. A reclusive North Korea in mind. The National Department of Defense does not anticipate North Korea as such a capable, wide-ranging military disruptive capability. They've not even considered that. They've not yet considered that at all. As Kim Jong-un begins to play in a bigger sandbox, our military must adjust and do so and make that adjustment with urgency. Christine's here in the chat saying, Ron, there's no one in North Korea. He's been sending people to war. I'm sorry, Ron, listen to the Black Sabbath song. Christine, I don't listen to Black Sabbath songs, number one. I haven't listened to Black Sabbath in a long time. What you don't realize, yes, Kim Jong-un has sent people to fight on the Russian side of Ukraine. They've killed tens of thousands of soldiers in Ukraine and in Russia as well during that war. But Kim Jong-un is a threat internationally and to the United States as well. I'm sorry if you don't agree, but that's a fact. I've been watching it. Don Patoka says, read Sun Tzu. I agree. Then the company says, watch out for the Rocket Man, little big man over there in North Korea. Now, he plays in a bigger sandbox now. He's made all kinds of threats. He walked away from President Trump in 2020. President Trump went over to Hong Kong to meet with him. And Kim Jong-un walked out of the peace talks. Kim Jong-un walked out of the peace talks. Unreal. If we are anything, if we in the United States are anything, we must first modernize our military bases and our infrastructure in South Korea. That's number one. For decades, we've been able to box in North Korea with our overwhelming conventional superiority. But our deteriorating facilities are eroding our strength. We would begin restoring it by updating the 50-year-old structures. 50-year-old structures from 1951, housing 30,000 U.S. service members. 30,000 U.S. service members over there. The Korean War lasted between 51 and 53. We have over 30,000 service members serving there now, South Korea. Second, we must continue regular joint U.S.-South Korea military drills. We had those drills last year. The practice is so far more than just a show of force. It guarantees that the United States and South Korean militaries can fight as one. It guarantees that the United States military and the South Korean military can fight as one if duty calls. Next, we must deal with long-term implications of the shifting nuclear balance in Southeast Asia. We must deal with that. The United States also has military capability. Here you see on the back of these trucks the United States missiles that can be targeted anywhere around this world. Okay? North Korea's growing nuclear arsenal, coupled with the massive expansion of Chinese nuclear long-range missile capabilities, means that this region is becoming far more dangerous for the U.S. and our allies. Maintaining stability starts by reinforcing American strength. Last year, we saw a particularly cinematic example of how this could be done. The USS Kentucky, one of our ballistic missile submarines, surfaced off the Korean coast with its devastating nuclear payload in tow. As the Kentucky surfaced, it emerged from the depths. The vessel sent an unmistakable message that the United States will act to keep peace. We can make the same point by boosting our nuclear forces and those of our allies in the Indo-Pacific theater. We should also establish nuclear burden sharing agreements in the region. Nuclear burden sharing agreements. Burden sharing. Not just the United States being responsible. Other people in the region also being responsible, as NATO does in its territories. Now, these are among the many unanimous recommendations of the National Strategic Posture Commission, which Congress established to assess the strengths and weaknesses of U.S. nuclear strategy. Now, this commission believes these actions would offset our adversaries' nuclear expansion. They believe this would offset our adversaries' nuclear expansion. During the Biden administration, they refused to heed this advice. Now, we are urging, me and everyone else, you as well, should be urging the Trump administration to heed the advice to make sure that U.S. citizens and the United States military are ready for an armed conflict with Korea, China, or Russia in the very near future. It could likely happen. How would that happen? I'm going to explain this to you in just a minute. Doing this is far more important now than it ever has been during the past 3 decades. The end of the Cold War changed the way the United States placed its nuclear weapons in the Indo-Pacific. U.S. leaders hope, for example, that by removing nuclear weapons from South Korea would incentivize North Korea to stop production of its own, but it did not. In years past, we talked about it here on this program. Kim Jong-un has kept proliferating nuclear missiles, nuclear-capable missiles. Several times during the past few years, we've even talked about it when Kim Jong-un has launched missiles into the sky that fell into the Japanese waters. The West Japanese Sea over there. Japan even went on nuclear alert because no one was sure whether North Korea had launched a nuclear missile that was heading over towards Japan. We thought that this would disincentivize North Korea from launching missiles or even building them. Instead, the security situation on both peninsulas and in the Pacific has become strategically worse. Kim Jong-un should tread very carefully where he goes and what he does. Kim Jong-un should tread very carefully on where he goes and what he does. Why am I saying that? Because the United States military is watching him. The United States has placed a large task force off the Korea Peninsula in North Asian waters. The United States military, Navy, has placed a huge flotilla in the waters off of North Korea. Watch out. Watch out. One such member of the United States Navy has been cruising off of Korea and cruising through the South China Sea between Taiwan and China. An American warship sailed through the narrow sea corridor between China and Taiwan on Wednesday in a subtle show of force by the Trump administration amid geopolitical and trade sanctions with Beijing. The United States warship William P. Lawrence, an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer, conducted a routine passage through the Taiwan Strait, April 23rd, through waters where freedom of navigation and overflight apply in accordance with international law. But Beijing says self-ruled Taiwan is part of Chinese territory, a position that the island's government and a large majority of its citizens reject. The United States has no formal diplomatic ties with Taiwan, Taipei, but it is Taiwan's main arms supplier, the United States military. And we have said already, we have warned Beijing that if they attack Taiwan, the United States will defend Taiwan. Washington has officially taken no position on sovereignty over Taiwan, but acknowledges without recognizing Beijing's claim. The United States has repeatedly said that it opposes unilateral changes to the status quo across the Taiwan Strait, at a time when China has been wrapping up its military activities there, including through large-scale drills simulating a blockade around Taiwan. The destroyer William P. Lawrence's passage was partially visible on vessel tracking platforms, including a tracking platform called Marine Traffic. Let me show you a map of where the Lawrence sailed from. USS Lawrence sailed from San Diego, California, sailed over to Hawaii. Then it included its passage over in northwestern Pacific Ocean, even down in towards the Philippines. Then it made its way over towards Taiwan. The ship transited through a corridor in the Strait of Taiwan that is beyond the territorial sea of any coastal state. William P. Lawrence's transit through the Taiwan Strait demonstrates the United States' commitment to upholding freedom of navigation of all nations as a principle. In a statement yesterday, the People's Liberation Army in the Eastern Theater Command said it had dispatched naval and air forces to monitor the American ships' movements. Taipei said it had detected 19 Chinese warplanes and 7 Chinese warships operating around Taiwan in the last 24 hours, beginning at 6 a.m. today. 19 Chinese warplanes and 7 Chinese warships operating in and around Taiwan today. The Chinese military presence did not appear larger than usual. Also at the time of the transit, a U.S. Navy MQ-4C Triton reconnaissance drone operating out of Guam, the Andersen Air Force Base, was loitering south of the Taiwan Strait, according to data recorded by the aircraft tracking service Flight Radar 24. April 23rd, yesterday, was Chinese Navy Day. China's Navy Day. This marks a second known transit by U.S. warship in President Donald Trump's second term. The second known warship transit in President Trump's second term, and the first since February, when the USS Ralph Johnson and non-commissioned oceanographic survey ship, the USNS Bowditch, sailed through the contested waterway. Under international maritime law, waters outside China's and Taiwan's territorial zones would typically extend 12 nautical miles from the shoreline are open for navigation, including by military vessels. Beijing staunchly disagrees and asserts its sovereignty right over the Taiwan Strait via its narrow territorial claim to Taiwan. Japan and Canada sent warships through the strait in February, moves that openly rejected the Chinese claim. Canada and the United States joined a growing list of U.S. allies, showing support for freedom of navigation in the waters. It is time to pay attention to the blinking red light, to rethink our forward nuclear posture, a free and prosperous South Korea and the rest of the region. This can only be achieved through leadership of the United States. This can only be achieved through leadership from the United States. Now, while we have done that, China has also moved one of its 3 large aircraft carriers, its aircraft carrier battle group. Let me show you that battle group here. Actually, I'm going to show you the aircraft carrier for China right here. right there. This is the Chinese aircraft carrier here. Okay. This aircraft carrier sailed past the closest islands of the Philippines, preparing to go to war and seize the Philippine Islands. Beijing has said that they want to seize the Philippine Islands. They sent small flotillas of small ships all over the Philippines, harassing the Philippine sailors and harassing the fishing vessels off of the Philippines. This large aircraft carrier from China sailed off the Philippine Islands and also around Korea, also down around Taiwan. While doing that, China has also asserted that they will at some point attack Taiwan, knowing full well that the U.S. will defend Taiwan as a sovereign nation. China has repeatedly threatened to attack and take Taiwan, meaning in doing so, they would be fighting the United States military, and we would be in World War III. The United States and China are locked in a strategic competition that is manifesting in a full-blown trade war right now. During Trump's first presidency, the Pentagon approved monthly Taiwan Strait transits. The trend is likely to continue in the foregoing future. United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and other top Trump officials have expressed concern that Chinese President Xi Jinping will order a military offensive against Taiwan before the end of the decade. The United States has its hands full in Northeast Asia. As we said before, it is time to pay attention to the blinking red light in North and Southeast Asia and rethink our forward nuclear posture. A free and democratic and prosperous South Korea and the rest of the region. That can only be achieved through, like I said, U.S. leadership. Now, there's something also going on. Conflict with Israel and Iran. Conflict with Israel and Iran. So first, we talked about Korea and North Korea and South Korea and Chinese and Russia going up against us because the Chinese and Russia have signed a pact with North Korea. And North Korea has been supplying missiles and other military gear to Russia to fight against Ukraine. But there's another war front as well that we need to pay attention to. Iran continues to warn and threaten and sabotage a new U.S. nuclear deal in Iran. Iran is threatening to sabotage the deal with the United States. Israel has threatened military action to stop Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. Carol just gave us a $10 super chat. Thank you, Carol. God bless you for that. Really appreciate it. We really do appreciate it. That means a lot to us. God bless you. But again, Israel has threatened a military action to stop Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. And Trump has also not ruled out the possible position to support Israel in that strike. But Trump also favors a diplomatic agreement. And we've been at the bargaining table with Iran and Israel for quite some time. But Israel is still preparing for a possible war with Iran. Now, they are trying to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear missiles, nuclear capability. I'm sorry to say this. Iran has had nuclear capability since the Obama administration. In several places throughout Iran, underground facilities, Iran has not just been testing, but developing nuclear capability and harvesting radioactivity in its underground facilities to stockpile that nuclear capability until they're ready to attack. And again, Iran could launch an attack here to the United States at any point in time, just like North Korea could. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has said, quote, "Our security services are on high alert, given past instances of attempted sabotage and assassination operations designed to provoke a legitimate response." Trump has said that he and Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are on the same side on Iran ahead of the resumption of negotiations between American and Iranian diplomats this week. Iran says it has no intentions of acquiring nuclear weapons, but we know they're lying through their teeth. They've already said before that they have the capability, even though they're now saying on the negotiation table they have no intention of acquiring nuclear weapons. They have that capability. And its research only has civilian uses. Wrong. We know for a fact. They have been developing nuclear capability for quite some time. The U.S. and Israel already believe that Iran has nuclear weapons. And they have had those since the Obama years. U.S.-Iran talks aim at achieving a new agreement to replace the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan Action, which Trump abandoned in 2018, citing major shortcomings for U.S. interests. Araghchi has said that Iran seeks a different deal that guarantees its interests. Guarantees Iran's interests. Go figure. Go figure. Araghchi has said that Iran's nuclear enrichment programs, under the supervision of the International Atomic Energy Agency, the UN nuclear watchdog, responsible for monitoring compliance with nuclear non-proliferation agreements, which Iran has done to its utmost to make sure that the AEA, the Atomic Energy Agency, does not see nor inspect most of its facilities. U.S. State Department Secretary Marco Rubio said, if Iran wants a civil nuclear program, they can have just one, just like many other countries can have one. And that is they import enriched material. They import enriched material. I would tell anyone, we are a long ways from any sort of agreement with Iran. It may not even be possible. We don't know. But we would want to achieve a peaceful resolution of this and not resort to anything else. But again, Israel is watching Iran under a microscope. The United States military satellites have been watching Iran under a microscope for some time. And Iran has defied the United States. Even though we are at a negotiation table, Iran keeps violating the rules. Iran keeps violating the rules. Unreal. Now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday said this, I would like to say a few words to you about Iran. I am committed to preventing Iran from having nuclear weapons. I will not give in to this. Neither will I slacken on retreat, not even a millimeter. But the amusing thing is to listen to the criticism being voiced by those who oppose the many actions that I have led over the years in order to strike Iranian nuclear program and delay it. Without these actions, Iran would already have nuclear weapons 10 years ago. United States nuclear forces have validated the readiness and the capability of bombers and intercontinental ballistic missiles by conducting an exercise and a test earlier this month. The U.S. military regularly tests its nuclear forces to ensure that we are ready to carry out our missions, any mission. In February this year, just a couple months ago, a Minuteman II intercontinental ballistic missile, which was unarmed but nuclear capable, was launched from California over the Pacific Ocean for a test launch. The recent American nuclear exercise and test events come as the United States and Iran hold indirect nuclear talks amid rising tensions in the Middle East. Rising tensions in the Middle East, guys. There are rising tensions in the Middle East, and they keep rising. It's a touch and go situation. Meanwhile, Russia and China continue modernizing their nuclear capabilities. And North Korea has said no to full denuclearization. Why does this matter? Why does this matter? Official data shows that the United States has 3,748 warheads in its nuclear arsenal as of September 2023, nearly 2 years ago. These will be equipped on land-based and intercontinental ballistic missiles and submarine-launched ballistic missiles, as well as nuclear-capable bombers and fighter jets. The United States Air Force 2nd Bomb Wing and 5th Bomb Wing, operators of nuclear-capable B-52H bombers, recently participated in an exercise called Prairie Vigilance 25-1 at Minot Air Force Base in North Dakota. This routine exercise aimed to bolster the safety, the security, and the reliability of American-based bombers, and our strategic deterrence. Such regularly planned exercises are not scheduled or held in response to any specific geopolitical conditions or situations. But these drills are held on a regular basis to make sure that our country, our citizens are protected, and our organizations outside this country are also protected, including our allies. An official release photo shows airmen conducting convoy operations with missiles on April 11th. Let me show you those missiles again, right here. Each B-52H bomber can carry up to 20 nuclear-armed AGM-86B air-launched cruise missiles. Each B-52H bomber can carry up to 20 nuclear-armed AGM-86B air-launched cruise missiles. That's according to a report by the Federation of American Scientists. Unreal. So we have intercontinental ballistic missiles, we have fighters, and we have bombers ready to go in case of a strike against the United States or an attempted strike against the United States. And I'm sure all of you have seen the movie War Games. That's more real than we want to believe. That is more real than we want to believe. Now, I was going to ask this question, and Don Patoka asked me before I did. Are you prepared for an EMP? I want to ask, are you prepared for an EMP? What is that? What is an EMP? An electromagnetic pulse. An electromagnetic pulse. How does that happen? When an atomic missile is detonated, atomic warhead is detonated above any landmass, it can rain atomic energy, radioactive waves across a wide area. Not only radiation, but radio waves that can destroy any electronics anywhere in that area. That's called an EMP. It can knock out any electronic devices anywhere within an area that can span thousands of miles. Are any of you ready for an EMP? Has anyone gotten a bag or designated a trash can and lined the trash can with cardboard on the inside of the trash can, so those electronic magnetic wave pulses won't get to your electronic equipment? Has anybody even done that? Has anybody even considered doing that? We've talked about EMPs before. We talked about EMPs before. Maybe we need to talk about how to get ready for an EMP tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is Preparedness Friday. Maybe we need to talk about EMPs and how to prepare for an EMP tomorrow night. Don Patoka has asked us, are any of you prepared for an EMP? I've talked about it. I want to know also if you're prepared. If not, you need to get prepared, and get prepared now. We may not have a chance, but as John Francis put up here, we need to buy a Faraday bag. You need to have a Faraday bag. You need to have a way of protecting your electronic equipment, whether it be computers, whether it be electronic devices in your home that you want to protect, ham radios, CB radios, other communication devices. How about your AM, FM weather radio? Yes, you need to be aware of that. You need to be aware of that. Linda Covington says she made one out of a metal trash can and lined it with cardboard. That's one way to do it. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. I just decided we will talk about that more tomorrow night. Thank you, Lynn, for saying that. And thank you, John Francis, for also talking about Faraday bags. We need to have Faraday bags, Faraday cans, Faraday devices to protect our equipment. There's also what they call EMP shield that can possibly protect your home and or your vehicle. Consider that. Look that up on the internet. EMP shield. No, I do not have them as a sponsor, but I will talk about them tomorrow night. I'll be talking about EMP shield tomorrow night. EMP shield has a device to protect your home and also to protect your vehicle against an EMP. Lee says an EMP from solar activity, it's possible. What happened in 1886? The Carrington event. A solar flare ignited electrical lines all over the world. And here in the United States, it shocked a couple telegraph operators. Shocked them. It melted telegraph electrical lines. You need to know about it. Yes, there is a possibility that we could get a solar flare to do that. Now, this past week, we had a great big, huge, large sunspot on the sun. Huge sunspot on the sun. Earth facing. If that sunspot had launched a solar flare, it could have knocked out all electricity throughout the world. It could have affected the entire world and brought us back to the 18th century. Unreal. In one fell swoop. Yes, we have had solar flares that have ignited earthquake activity. We've had solar flares that have knocked satellites out of orbit. But those of us on Earth, you and I, our families, our friends, neighbors, need to be aware of this. We need to be aware of this, guys. This is serious. This is very serious. We need to know what to do and when to do it. Okay? Melissa's asking, how are you going to protect a car? EMP shield. Look it up on the internet. I'll talk more about that tomorrow night. I will definitely talk about EMP shield tomorrow night. So be here to talk about it. Be here to listen how you can prepare for an EMP. Linda Cunningham says, wires now being dug underground. Yes, they are. But that's not going to stop it. The electromagnetic pulse waves can penetrate into the ground. The electromagnetic pulse waves can penetrate into the ground. They can do that. Okay? That may not stop an EMP. Now, if, and this is a big if our government, local, state, and federal government, has gotten our electrical companies to shield our electrical ground-based wires underground, if they shielded them, then maybe and only maybe are those wires shielded from electromagnetic pulse waves so they will not be melted or affected by an EMP. Maybe I'll contact an electrical supplier and find out the answer to that. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow and come back here and talk about it. Donna Howard, thank you for being here. I'm sorry you got here late. Yes, please go back and listen to this entire program. I think we need to listen to it. Linda Cunningham says bye-bye to the internet. Yes, an EMP could say goodbye to the internet. It could happen. That is the other reason we need to prepare for what might happen. This channel, Emergency Management Associates, is a base group that now has nearly 5,000 subscribers, closing in on 5,000 subscribers. We're here for you. Emergency preparedness. We're here for you. Renee Steppe is talking about flash flood warnings and storms. Renee Steppe just put up a chat in the chat. Flash flood warning issued April 24th, 7 p.m. National Weather Service until 1 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Dodge City, Kansas, for Clark, Kansas, Comanche, Kansas, until 1 a.m. in the morning Central Time. Okay? Be prepared, guys. A very bad storm. A very, very bad storm going through Kansas right now. If you're in this area, take precautions now. If you have to evacuate from the rivers or the streams, do so now. Do not drive through flooded roadways or anywhere else. Don't walk through them either. Stay out of high water. Stay out of high water. Richard Smith says ham radio theory is related to Earth's magnetic field. You're right. It is. Lee says you won't be able to use debit cards. You're not going to be able to use credit cards or debit cards. If an EMP hit, those debit cards and credit cards will become useless. ATMs will become useless. Any store that runs any kind of electronic device, including computer cash registers, those will become useless. That's why I've said in your emergency preparedness kit, you need to put away cash. Put away cash. Because ATM cards won't work. ATMs and banks won't work. Store computerized cash registers won't work. Fact. Fact. If those don't work, you're not going to have any money if you don't put it away. Every time you get paid even a few dollars, salt those dollars away into a plastic bag in your emergency preparedness kit. In a sealable plastic bag. Okay? A sealable plastic bag. Keep it dry, keep it safe. And put it away in your preparedness kit where nobody else is going to find it. Don Patoka says after an EMP, you're going to live in the 1700s. You're going to go back to the 1800s. You're going to go back to the 1800s. Okay? Cars, boats, airplanes, nothing's going to work. Nothing's going to work. Linda Covington says thousands of cars on sale after floods. Beware. Any car that's been flooded is useless. Any car that's been in a flood is going to be useless, guys. Fact. Hold on a second. One of my sons is calling it. One of my sons or daughters is calling it. Just a second. Okay, I'm taking care of that. Any questions? Okay, guys, it's getting late here. I just want to share something with you. Okay? I've been talking about this for quite some time. I've been talking about standing for something. Don Patoka on some nights has talked about standing for something. I believe in it. You need to stand for something, guys. You need to stand up and be a leader. Stand up, be a leader. Pass on good information. Pass along preparedness information as well. Pass on truth. Pass on spiritual truth about Jesus Christ as well. We can be a blueprint. Each one of us can be part of a blueprint for success, not just in our world, but in our lives. Not just in the world, but our lives, guys. We need to rediscover values. We need to rediscover virtues as well. Those values and virtues have historically made us very strong. In doing so, we become better people. In doing so, we become better people. This is a work for our time. This is a work for our time. Standing for something. A reflection from man's long and productive life. We need to reflect on our lives, our long and productive lives. And when we do that, think about how we can pass on the information to those that we love, our family members and our friends and neighbors. We need to do this. And in doing so, we can look towards a brighter future. And so can every one of us who knows this, who does this. The price of leadership is loneliness. The price of adherence to God's standards, to God's covenants, and to God's commandments is also loneliness. I think it is inescapable. The Savior of the world was a man who walked in loneliness. I do not know any statement more underlined with the pathos of his loneliness than this. The foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath not where to lay his head. Matthew chapter 8, verse 20. There is no lonelier picture in history than that of the Savior upon the cross, alone, the Redeemer of mankind, the Savior of the world, the Son of God, suffering for the sins of all, alone. I go way back to these words of Paul. We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 9. It's not easy to be virtuous when all about us there are those who criticize and scorn virtue. It's not easy to be honest when all those around us who are more interested in making a fast buck and who are willing to compromise almost any person, any standard for personal reputation, power, prestige, notoriety, or profit. It's not easy to be temperate when society scoffs at sobriety. It's not easy to be industrious in a recreation-oriented society where all of those around us don't even believe in the value of work. In leadership, it stands for something. Leadership is a standing for principle. Standing for principle, there's loneliness. But men and women of integrity must live with their convictions. Men and women of integrity must live with their convictions. Unless they do so, they are miserable, dreadfully miserable. And though there may be thorns, though there may be some disappointments, though there may be trouble and travail, heartache, heartbreak, and desperate loneliness, there will also be comfort and strength, and that peace of God which passeth all understanding. Philippians 4, verse 7. As I said before, you and I, each one of us, we must put up the full armor of God and stand for something. Stand for greatness. Stand with God. Stand with our Savior Jesus Christ. Stand in holy places. Stand in holy places. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I truly love each one of you. I want you to know that. There is no doubt in my mind of the truthfulness of the gospel of Jesus Christ. There is no doubt in my mind about the truthfulness of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Let's find Jesus Christ in our lives. We just got through celebrating Easter. What does Easter mean to each one of us? What does the sacrifice of Jesus Christ mean in our lives? Let's keep going. Let's be strong. Let's stand for something. I hope you have a good night and a better tomorrow. If anything happens here tonight or tomorrow before we come on the air tomorrow night, we will be back here on the air to talk about it as soon as the information comes available. Kanita Warrior's been talking about garden seeds. I agree. Yes, we're going to be talking about gardens in the next week or so. Planting our gardens so we can have a harvest of fruit and vegetables to get us through the coming times. God be with us, sustain always. God be with us till we meet again. We will see you on the other side. Hope you have a great night and a better tomorrow. Enjoy. Be safe out there. God bless you all. Take care, everyone. Much love. Enjoy. God bless. Good night.